there, and welcome to the Big Apple School podcast. My name is Sam.
And my name is Ian.
And today we're asking, what's the crack about?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Get to the chopper! So, we're gonna... That's so good.
Perfect.
I'm so proud of myself.
You should be.
And today we're asking about this Iron Man. We're gonna find out about where he came from, the path of his career, how he got into bodybuilding, then into movies, then into politics. Were there any scandals? Yes, there were. We're going to talk about those. And what he does now, what he should do now, maybe as well. So we're going to get into that. But first, we want to know more about Ian.
Well, okay. Hey, guys. My name is Ian, as Sam said. I'm from the U.S. I'm from a state called Kentucky. Kentukki in Russian. You might be familiar with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, I'm from there. Mm-hmm. So
never heard of it?
Never. What? KFC?
I'm joking. It's everywhere.
About to say.
You can't walk down the street without seeing it.
Yeah, it was the same in the U.S., but KFC is actually a lot better in Russia than it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
KFC is better everywhere than it is in the U.S. It's complete trash. They just gave up.
Really?
Yeah, it's going downhill.
Quality and everything?
The stores are dirty. The chicken is greasy and terrible. It's bad. It's a bad situation.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Is it because they're from Kentucky? Is it the problem?
I don't know.
It's a personal job. I don't know. That's sad. Yeah. The Colonel needs to sort himself out.
I think he might have some difficulty doing that, considering he's 10 feet underground.
Okay, fair enough. Only 10, not 6.
Only 10?
I mean, yeah, okay. So tell us about Arnie. Where is he from?
All right, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Most people think he's from Germany, but it's not true. Arnold Schwarzenegger is from a super small little village, barely even a town, called Thal, Austria.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's a very small town. Mm-hmm. He was born to a police officer. His father was a police officer, and he was very, very strict. And his mother, for most of her life, stayed home with him. So,
okay. So he was raised by his mom, but his dad was there really strict and stuff.
Yes, his father was extremely strict.
Okay. And how did he get from there to being this, super jacked bodybuilder?
Well, it actually started with him. He played soccer. And of course, in your country, they call it football.
Yeah.
He played the sport where you kick the ball.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, let me stop you and have a little divergent there.
Okay.
Because strangely enough, in Northern Ireland, there are some people who call it soccer as well.
Really?
Because in Ireland, we have Gaelic football. So some people call it football in Northern Ireland, and others will call it soccer because they have Gaelic football, and they call that football. So a bit confusing.
I love the Irish.
Yeah, but it's if you go to England, the rest of the UK, it is football for sure. So you're right, absolutely right.
My mistake. I apologize, good sir.
I just want to give you some extra nuggets of information.
Appreciate that.
Chicken McNuggets,
Yeah.
I know.
You know how I feel about chicken McNuggets. They're trash.
So tell us. So he got jacked up playing football, yeah?
Yeah, playing the sport where you kick the ball. He wanted to better himself, so his team had a small little crappy gym that they would go to. And he quickly became addicted to working out because he realized that his strength improved greatly, really quickly.
Right.
And some people have this ability just genetically that they can get a lot more mass a lot faster. And he was one of those people, very obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
And one day, he even broke into this gym on a day when the staff wasn't working so he could work out.
Right. He was addicted.
He was addicted. And by the time that he
normal to be so addicted?
Some people get addicted. I used to kind of be in the bodybuilding thing, which is why I've always kind of looked up to Arnold Schwarzenegger back when I wasn't, fat as hell. But, back in the day when I used to bodybuild, I really liked Arnold.
Yeah?
Yeah, really inspired me.
By the way, do you know a YouTuber, what's his name? John Flickinger?
Never heard of him.
He's big into. He loves films. If you're interested in hearing a YouTuber, he's from America. If you're interested in hearing a YouTuber talk about films, he has his own channel and he talks about films. But he's also big into bodybuilding. Not Arnold size or anything, but he loves bodybuilding. He loves Arnold. Actually, he's kind of great for me because he also loves Batman. I love Arnold, or Arnie as I call him, and I love Batman. And he's kind of similar to me in that way for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, how did he get from? So we've got as far as bodybuilding, how he got into that and got addicted and stuff. But how did he get from a little town in Austria?
Oh, good accent. I love it.
All the way. I'm getting better with practice. How did he get from that little town all the way to the US of the A?
Well, a lot of people tend to skip over this part of his life, but a big part of it actually was he was in the Austrian army. He joined the army when he was, I think, like 16. He lied on his paperwork. So he joined the army,
right?
And they were really interested in him because he was like 16 years old and he had a 17-inch bicep.
Okay.
So the army was very
16,
interested in
17, right?
Something like that, yeah. Wow. 16, 17. So he joins the army, and it's kind of a funny story. Him and his friends decide to race their tanks. They're both tank drivers.
Wow.
And they end up going down a hill, and they end up completely destroying these tanks.
Wow.
So they get in a bunch of trouble, and I don't think he gets discharged at this point, but he gets charged very shortly after.
I would love to have seen that film.
Me too. I would have loved to see little Arnold racing his tank down the hill, but because he was discharged from the army, he decided to go with the next best thing in his life, which was bodybuilding. And he would see in magazines about all these American bodybuilders because the American bodybuilding scene was blowing up. So because of this, he decided, I want to go there. I want to go to the United States.
It was the place to be.
Yeah, it was the place to be for bodybuilding.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was natural.
It was very natural for him to eventually get there. Yeah. And after some trouble, he ended up making it into bodybuilding.
Should I ask? Did he come illegally to the United States? Or am I allowed to know that?
I believe he came legally and stayed illegally. If I am correct, I forget. But I believe there was some treachery there. But
we don't condone that or recommend that.
Nobody here does that. But anyway. Yeah. So he made it to California, where the big bodying scene was, like Venice Beach and all these places.
Yeah.
And he met the founder of Gold's Gym, which is one of the biggest. Well, it used to be the biggest, most successful gym in the United States. They were a huge chain, and he was his mentor. And he met another guy named Franco Colombo, who is also a bodybuilder. They ended up going into bodybuilding together, and they helped each other stay on track. And eventually, after a lot of work and a lot of marketing, he finally made his way into professional bodybuilding, which in and of itself was a bit controversial.
Okay. Are you going to tell us more? I'm intrigued.
You're intrigued?
So, I'm impressed so far with his determination, because it sounds like he had a tough time getting to America, staying in America, achieving his goals. He seemed to have a real, just this single focus and goal to do that, and he didn't give up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's one of the most successful immigrants to ever come to the United States. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the most successful.
Yeah. Yeah. He's certainly one of the most famous, if not the most famous.
Probably the most famous American immigrant, yeah.
I'm from Northern Ireland. Quite different from the States, although we do have a lot of American culture, of course. But my friend and I, my best friend back in Northern Ireland, are big fans of, and we call him Arnie, as I say.
Yeah.
We're big fans of him, and we quote his lines, even the terrible ones, like from Batman and Robin, for example.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Which, by the way, is false.
You're not sending me to the cooler. Do you remember that one?
Every single line. Okay, I want to pause here, all right? Every single line from that crappy movie. I think it's crappy. I know some people like it. But every single line from that movie is a pun it's a joke about ice or cold or freezing.
It's amazing.
Every one of his lines. I couldn't believe it. How corny.
It's amazing how corny it is.
Incredible.
I'm not a fan. I've told you, Ian, that I love Batman. It's true. But Batman and Robin? No.
I didn't want to step on your toes. I don't like that.
I have watched it several times, but I'm definitely not a fan of it. I enjoy it in the perspective of like, this is supposed to be the 1960s. And if I have that frame of mind, I can watch it.
I thought that was an 80s
just about
film.
Watch it. It's from 1997, in fact.
Oh, it's even later than it makes it even worse.
But I think what Joel Schumacher was trying to do is trying to link it to the 60s. The
I see what you're saying.
Show. And so if you kind of look at it from that point of view, it doesn't seem as terrible. Like they did this on purpose.
Maybe he was going for that kind of like nostalgic value.
Maybe. I mean, it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for anyone.
I kind of try to look at it that point of view.
Yeah.
So we've alluded to the fact, I'm sure it's no secret, that he got into films and he got into acting, and he's got a strong accent, or he did.
Still.
What else did he achieve outside of acting?
Well, when he first came to America, he always wanted to be an actor deep down, but his number one goal was to be rich. He wanted to make $1 million.
The American dream.
He wanted to make money. He wanted to make that paper.
Only $1 million.
That was his goal. Well, back in the 60s when he came to the U.S., $1 million is worth maybe $1.6 million today. It's because of inflation. It was a lot more money back then, and I mean, millions is millions.
Well, yeah,
millions is millions.
It's still a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wanted to make money, and how did that lead him to acting? He just saw that there was more money than in bodybuilding.
Well, actually, in bodybuilding, he was very successful because of that partnership he had with the founder of Gold's Gym and with Franco Colombo and others who were in the scene. But he really did get into acting because he was tired of the accolades. He was tired of I did that, I accomplished that. He was Mr. Universe 1 million times. He was Mr. Olympia 1 million times.
Another goal.
So now he wanted to move on to broaden his horizons. You're right. Another goal. Mm-hmm. So, and at the time, and still today, the big money in the U.S. is in feature films. And his goal was to make it big as an actor. And everyone told him, you'll never do it. Your accent is trash. You look awkward. They can't even fit you on the screen. So they were tearing him down. But, I got to give credit where credit is due. He did it.
Yeah.
He did it.
What's wrong with my accent?
He actually went to training to get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, and it caused a lot of problems with his acting, actually. That famous line from Terminator, "I'll be back." He had such a hard time pronouncing that. And in his book about himself, in his autobiography, he says that the director of that film kept saying, "Do it again, do it again, do it again." And then he said, maybe it can be like a joke, maybe we can. He said, no, you're going to do it again with a proper accent. Wow. So that accented line that we still joke about, that was him watered down.
Right.
So his accent was terrible.
Yeah, well, poor guy. It would have been tough.
He went to acting classes. He went to accent reduction classes. So he really did put in that time and that money.
It wouldn't be the same if he didn't have the accent, because it's what we know him as, actually.
I think that's why he has neglected to get rid of it. He's been living in America for about 50 years.
Yeah, he realizes that maybe he puts it on. Maybe it's not real.
maybe he goes home to his wife and he's like, "Oh, honey, another day being Arnold Schwarzenegger."
Takes a mask off. Or he's got a voice box implant or something.
Maybe, something like that.
We're going to come to my favorite part.
Okay.
This is where my friend and I, back in Northern Ireland, I just lapped this up. Your favorite Arnie films. And I'll talk about mine. You can talk about yours. So what are your favorite Arnie films or Arnold Schwarzenegger films?
That's a very difficult question. You know, he's made a lot of great movies and a lot of completely trash movies. I think that his best movie would have to be, honestly, I know everyone says this, Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always says Total Recall or Terminator, but I have to join them. Total Recall is a phenomenal film. You know, it has this great sort of atmosphere about it. It's kind of funny seeing what people
Very
back then would think that the future would look like. Yeah, a lot of imagination.
Very imaginative.
Yeah.
I love it.
How about you?
I love Total Recall. I like T2, Terminator 2. I think most, I don't know, I think it's really unusual in that the sequel is better than the original.
Yeah.
I like Terminator. Terminator is good, but Terminator 2 for me is the best, better than the original Terminator. My favorite is probably Predator though.
Predator, that's a good one. That's true.
Really, really, really good. I love that line, "Get to the chopper."
The one you did at the beginning, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I also have some guilty pleasures, like I like Conan the Barbarian. How do you feel about that?
I think that movie is super cheesy. I think it's very corny and terrible.
I can't disagree, but there's something about it. I don't know. I enjoy it. I mean, yeah, there's bits of it that are questionable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's the imaginativeness, you know, the fantasy world and stuff.
Well, you know, that movie has a cult following.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are very like dedicated to that movie. Like, oh, you can't talk trash about Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. What do you think of his original film? Hercules, 1970.
Yeah, Hercules in New York. That has to be one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life, if I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm a huge Arnold fan, but you know, I have some self-respect for what I'll watch, and I will never watch that movie again. I've seen it once. Yeah. It won't be twice. That movie is absolute garbage.
I think my experience has only been a few clips. I haven't watched the whole thing. I guess I probably looked at the ratings and I thought, it's not for me. But I love it. I mean,
it got mixed reviews, but they tended to lean negative.
Okay. Yeah. Red Heat. Ooh, we should talk about Red Heat.
Maybe not.
His accent is used. Maybe it's a bit more extreme to make him sound Russian.
Yeah,
he's like a Russian general or something, isn't he?
Yeah. No, he's like a Russian FBI agent or something like that. Honestly, I forget.
KGB.
Yeah, I mean KGB. That movie was so weird, and it's funny because I actually showed my wife that movie. You know, in the movie he says cocainum. He's talking about cocaine, and my wife, who's Russian, told me that that's not the Russian word for cocaine. and he did the same thing when he went huligani. Yeah, like it's really just weird.
Yeah.
I don't think we should talk about it.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't talk about it. Actually, it's funny because when I watch some very stereotypical Russian films like that, it annoys me because I know that's completely wrong. That's not the way. You know, okay. Some of the stereotypes have some truth, but the films like take them so to the extreme. They just seem so ridiculous.
That's true, especially in the American films. Because if you go back to like the 1970s and 80s, and even somewhat into the 90s, you'll see a pattern. All of the bad guys who have no good qualities about them always talk with a Russian accent, even if they're not from Russia. They
James
talk from
Bond,
a Russian accent.
All kinds of films like that. Yeah, I remember old James Bond films, and there's the Russian villain or someone like that with a strong accent. Absolutely.
That's not so much the case anymore. You know, I think that got old for people. Like, another Russian supervillain.
Yeah. And the world maybe is opening up a little bit more too.
That's true.
I hope.
With the internet, you know, I think that the world is much more open to, you know, ideas and people from other places.
Yeah. Kindergarten Cop.
That movie is 9 out of 10.
Yeah, 9 out of 10. I quote to my friend. I said, if my friend's maybe been a little bit of a wuss, Andrew, if you're listening, a little bit of a wuss, back in Northern Ireland. I mean, I remember doing this in Australia. I was like, there is no toilet. You know, because he says...
Oh, he says there is no bathroom.
Right, bathroom, right.
Yeah.
So there is no bathroom.
Yeah.
And I sometimes quote that to my friend just to remind him, like, man up. Because it was, do you remember in the film where he says that to the children, like they're 4 or 5 year old or less, and he says that to them and they start crying, there's no bathroom.
Yeah. Shut up!
Yeah.
Shut up! Shut up!
He takes a tantrum on the children. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
But it is actually quite well written, and I think because you see him in this macho guy in another environment, it just works somehow.
Yeah.
I wasn't a lover of Junior or Twins, which kind of tried the same thing.
Yeah, his comedy roles are very hit and miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, there's actually one really good comedy he was in, and it's actually one where he's playing a joke on himself, mostly. That's most of the plot. It's called Last Action Hero. And in this film, he is he's at the premiere of his own film, and he says, you know, we're making a huge effort to make the movies less violent. In my last movie, we killed 168 people. In this movie, we only killed 120 people. So we're making it very more sanitized for the families. So funny.
Sounds great.
It's hilarious.
I like Last Action Hero, actually.
Yeah.
Somewhat, little bit of kind of late 90s, early 2000s, he made End of Days.
Terrible.
Sixth Day,
Terrible.
Collateral Damage. You don't like any of them?
Most of them are trash.
I was surprised. I did like End of Days and The Sixth Day. Maybe I have bad taste. Yeah, maybe I have bad taste.
Well, it did have Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the plot. I liked the tone, the feel of it. Maybe I'm a sucker. I don't know, but to use an American expression, right? But,
that's not.
Isn't it an American expression?
No, a sucker is somebody who's like dumb, you know, like they fall for anything.
I mean, like a sucker for bad phones or something.
No, like they're super naive.
I'm not using it.
You're like, hey, why don't you let me use your phone today and I'll bring it back to you later to a total stranger, right? Right. That person's a sucker. They're naive. They think they're really going to bring their phone back. Never.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I liked them. I remember watching them and be quite surprised. All these older films of Arnie, like they came after Batman and Robin, are actually kind of good. I mean, I wouldn't compare it to Terminator or Predator, but I liked them. I really liked them. Whereas some of the more recent, like the last 5-6 years,
I have liked almost all of them.
Really?
Yeah, we have. Oh. This is one thing I guess we disagree on.
Yeah, we must.
I mean, love the recent Arnold films.
Expendables 1 and 2. I watched them and enjoyed them, but not loved them.
That's because it feels like an 80s film, you know? I mean, yeah, it's almost like a throwback to how it used to be with his movies.
Yeah. I think they were trying to relight the fire or something.
Yeah.
I think I watched The Last Stand he's a policeman. I don't, to be honest, I think it's kind of forgettable. But
I would have to agree. It's a very generic film. But one that isn't generic, this recent, was Escape. Or Escape Artist, I believe it was called.
Escape Plan, maybe?
Escape Plan, that's it, yes.
Yeah.
That one is great.
I watched, it's got Stallone in it, too.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold. And, you know, I think they have a great friendship because they're in a lot of movies together. Yeah. In recent, like the last decade or so.
For me, not a fan of it. I liked it. I mean, enjoyed it. I watched it with Andrew, my friend, actually, who's big into Arnie, too. But, it was okay. It was entertaining. But, but for me, not my most favorite Arnie.
It's not a masterpiece, but I would watch it again.
Yeah. I would with my mate. I would.
Only with your mates, I see.
Probably.
Arnold movies are best shared with company.
So, we talked a lot about his films, what we like. What about how he kind of took a break from films for a while and got into politics? What happened there? Why did you do that?
I think, again, it was a New Horizon sort of thing. Arnold became the governor of California in 2003, and it's very strange that he did, or maybe some would argue it's not. Of course, you know, everything has an explanation. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is a Republican, and California is a very anti-Republican state.
Wow.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger had tough immigration policies and things like this. And
it's just kind of ironic, no?
Yeah, I know, but you know, actually, Arnold, he was saying that in the U.S., and this, of course, this is controversial. If you ask 10 different Americans about this topic, you'll get 10 different opinions. Arnold's opinion was that too many illegal immigrants were coming to America from Mexico.
Okay.
And that they were really kind of ruining manual labor jobs. And a lot of Republicans agree with him. And I think that's why he got elected, is because the regular people in California were tired of being replaced by illegal immigrants.
Okay.
You know, so because it's such a huge issue in that state. So I think that's why he came to be, but people tried to get in his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had a tough time?
He did. There was even a scandal.
Okay.
Tell us. When he was running in 2003, his opposition found a bunch of women who had worked with him in the past or had contact with him of some sort. And they got them to say that he groped them.
Okay.
He touched them inappropriately or without consent.
Do you think it was fabricated?
You know, it's always hard to tell, which is why this is one of the worst things that can happen to you as a man.
Right. Yeah.
It's always hard to tell, you know, because, like, could he have done it? Yeah. But should I assume he did? No.
Oh, yeah. And
they didn't really have any proof.
Yeah,
they didn't really have any proof. But, you know, I don't want to be the guy who says, oh, they're a bunch of liars, because I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
It's not fair to do that either.
Exactly.
Sure.
So, but that didn't stop him. He still won. He still won.
Do you think, it's interesting to me because I didn't know about this story, but do you think it was part of the fact that he was so famous and so maybe respected or loved as an actor, his films, especially Terminator, Predator, etc.? Do you think that helped him win?
That, I think, had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. California, after all, it's like Hollywood's there and everything.
Exactly. And I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger had a lot of connections in the right places. You know, there's a saying that media is downstream from politics. So the way that the political landscape is in a society shapes the way its media looks and operates. And Arnold knew a lot of people in the right places, I believe. And I think that his likability, and people were, you know, they were already familiar with him. And being so familiar with someone makes them much more likable, and it makes you more likely to trust them.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
A lot of people say that he was a great governor, and in my opinion, I agree. He did a lot to help the people of California, which they have already reversed.
Should he be the governor of Kentucky?
I would actually. We have a guy who's pretty good at Kentucky, but after he retires, we can welcome Arnold. We can welcome.
Maybe
Arnold.
he can fix KFC.
Maybe that would be his first agenda. That'd be his first agenda.
It's important, right? It's important.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I think so. You know, it's part of our cultural identity. We need KFC back, Arnold. Make it happen.
This is going off on a tangent, but where did we know KFC came from? Kentucky. Where did McDonald's come from?
I have no idea. I have to be honest with you.
Google it later.
Actually, I do know a little bit about McDonald's. You know, as a fat American, I have to know this stuff. McDonald's was started as like a little mom and pop shop. And the way that they met the people from McDonald's is McDonald's used to sell milkshake making machines in the late 50s, early 60s.
Wow.
So they ordered like 3 of these machines, and they got to talking about the place, and it looked really nice, and the people from this company really liked the food. They liked it there. So the people from this company made them an offer, and the McDonald's people accepted, you know. And I think that was his name, was McDonald. That was his last name, which is why it's called McDonald's. So they bought the place, and it became a hit. They started expanding. They made some good investments. They made some good decisions. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar, maybe tens of billion of dollar corporation.
I worked in McDonald's, by the way.
Really?
In my own town. Yeah.
In Belfast?
Smaller town. I lived in Belfast, but my hometown is like 22,000 people.
Oh.
And it's got like 2 McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your job at McDonald's?
Not super.
I don't think anybody enjoys their job at McDonald's.
No, I wouldn't. It was an experience that was worthwhile for me, but I wouldn't say I enjoyed it particularly, no.
Well, I think that, food service jobs are not very desirable. But I will say this, in the United States, if you make your way up in McDonald's, you can have a very successful career that pays very well. They pay their managers like $75,000 a month, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So,
So it can be beneficial. Yeah, maybe I could have went that route, but
we used to have
for me.
We used to have a word about McDonald's, and the word was McJob. So any job that was undesirable or anything, like they always put Mick. You have chicken McNuggets, McFlurry ice cream. So we called this a McJob. And McDonald's got so mad they tried to sue this dictionary that published it, and it was really funny.
Interesting. We could talk more about that, but
let's get back on track to Arnold.
Back to Arnie.
Yeah.
What do you think? So, were there any other scandals, anything to hold him back, or anything that created a problem for him in his life?
I think that there's he's not foreign to scandals. He has always been subject to some sort of scandal here and there just because of his immense popularity. And I don't know, maybe he is some sort of huge jerk.
Scandals.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know him in real life. But anyway, he had a huge scandal because it turns out that his son is not his wife's. And it turns out that he had an affair with the cleaning lady, and the public found out about this. He had an affair with his maid, who I believe, ironically, was from Mexico or Venezuela, from one of these countries, Guatemala.
Good for him. Yeah.
So, that wasn't good for him when the public found out about this.
Yeah. Do you think it reduced his popularity? Like, his popularity dipped and hasn't come back?
That's not the way America works. It increases popularity.
Okay. The more people know about you.
Well, I mean, honestly, when you're like Arnold, it's hard for people to know more about you. It's like everyone in the U.S. knows who Donald Trump is. It's the same with Arnold. Everyone in the U.S., even still today, like kids know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to get more recognition.
Get to the chopper.
Okay, we'll get back on track.
What should he do now? Should he get to the chopper?
I think he should come fix KFC first, but after that, perhaps.
Do you think, what about in his acting career? Do you think he's making mistakes, or is he just not been lucky, not getting into the right films? Because I'm not loving the more recent films. Maybe you disagree, but...
I do disagree. I think what's happening is Arnold he's old. He's an old guy. He's like 60-something, maybe 70-something now.
Okay, sure.
He has to slow down.
Sure.
So I think that, right now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's still very active on the internet and things like this. But I think that when it comes to his films, he's kind of shying away from Hollywood. I bet it's a lot of stress for him in his old age.
Okay.
So I think he needs to take care of himself, because actually recently he had an emergency heart surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he's just trying to take care of himself, which Arnold, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if you are, good. Take care of yourself first before your career.
Yeah. So maybe he doesn't need to act anymore. Maybe we need someone else to take his place. Do we need an iconic actor again? Maybe someone listening here that has a really good accent, unique accent. Maybe
you, Sam.
Me?
Maybe you could be the next American action star.
Should I do more bodybuilding than I have been?
You might want to start now if you want to get as big as Arnold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm the right guy for that. But I was told when I was a boy I could be an actor, but I think it was just because I was a clown.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
What do you think Arnie would think if he heard this podcast?
He'd probably think, good, I'm glad they like my movies. Everybody does. Cool, move on with his day.
Maybe you'd just be like, oh, another fan. Okay.
Probably, yeah. I think he's so used to being oogled and ogled and people asking him all these questions. Can I have your autograph? Can you make a video for my cousin? He loves you. I'm sure he gets used to this.
It's just water off the duck's back.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, Arnold, if you are watching this, hit me up on my cell. I would love to do some work with you someday, maybe collaborate. Yeah. Maybe we could fix KFC together.
Twins.
Yeah.
Twins too.
Twins. He just has to gain maybe 50 pounds of fat and it'd be perfect.
So let's let's summarize what we talked about. So we talked a little bit of where Arnie came from, his origin story, if you like.
Yeah.
How he got jacked up, what films he got into, his acting career, his success, his politics, and scandals connected with them. And what we think maybe he should do or shouldn't do now. and the future for Arnie. And I think he's had a great career, and maybe it's time just let's relax a bit, sit back and enjoy the limelight or not enjoy the limelight.
Take the back seat, Arnold.
So that was the crack about
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.